Viewer discretion is advised. You know I love a loose connection to the episode topic.
It's a broad topic.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
I found a way to loosen it.
Okay.
This definitely falls under that category, but I had to cover this fucking maniac.
Okay.
So just bear with me. Also, this is some Kenyan shit. This is some dark shit. This dude is an absolute monster. But the
We
second...
swapped.
Yeah, we've swapped. The second he crossed my search, I was like, game over, I want to cover this. So, made it fit. So, Michael Sams was a disturbed man with a history of criminal mischief in the UK. Born on August 11th,
Oh! He's
1941. He's Kenyan's birthday twin.
Oh, no.
Sorry.
Okay.
In Keighley, West Riding of Yorkshire. Little is known about his upbringing. At 20 years old, he joined the Merchant Navy, but only served for 3 years before returning home and working as basically an HVAC guy, but they didn't call it that. He eventually started his own business and would install heating and cooling systems in people's homes. He did a brief stint in prison in 1976 for stealing a car and making a false insurance claim. And while he was behind bars, discovered that he had a cancerous mass in his leg that led to amputation.
Oh, okay.
The whole leg was amputated?
I believe so.
Or a big
I believe
part
so.
of it.
Yeah.
Wow.
With a prison record under his belt and now a physical disability, returning to the HVAC trade after he was released was not a viable option for him. So he went into the power tools business, first working for Black & Decker and then going out on his own once again as a salesman. Michael had 2 sons with his first wife, who divorced him before he went to prison in the 70s. He remarried after his release, but this marriage also dissolved, so he married a 3rd time, and for a while that one stuck. 3rd time's a charm, I guess.
Lots of
Yeah,
third
'cause
wives this episode.
The bar is set so low
I
that... Yeah.
It's so
Yep.
annoying. You got
Fine.
3 wives, and I've had none.
No
So as a-
wives. You've had
No
no wives.
I've had 0
None.
wives.
Not a wife to be found.
Not a 1. So as it turns out, power tool sales wasn't super lucrative for him, and he wanted to make some big money and wanted to make it quickly. So in 1991, at the age of 49, he devised a plan to get rich by kidnapping someone for ransom, which makes sense. Classic.
Works every time.
Works
You're
every
a
time.
one-legged man.
I mean,
It might be easier to track down.
well,
The single shoe print.
my God,
Yeah.
why?
I mean, it's a
That's
little
goddamn fly.
identifiable, no?
Yeah, it is. It is. But
Okay.
No.
the leg does not come into play
Okay.
at all with the crime. It'll come into play later, but
Okay.
not with this part.
Okay.
Excuse me, I swallowed the fly. But he took it to a super, super dark place. He built a lair in an old workshop that he used by the River Trent in Newark, Nottinghamshire, to hold his hostage. But he had never kidnapped anyone before, so he wanted to test out his plan on someone that, he deemed less valuable and less likely to be missed before selecting a valuable target for whom
For
a higher
ransom.
ransom would be paid.
He wanted to
Oh.
practice on a nobody
Pretty much.
in his mind.
Mm-hmm. So inspired by the stories of London's Jack the Ripper, there's my connection, deal with it. That's it.
This isn't even in London?
No, it's in the UK, but it's not in London. But he was
In
inspired.
Nottinghamshire.
I found him because
where
I
the
was
fuck that
looking.
is.
I was
At Jack
looking
the Ripper
for
shit.
yeah.
Oh.
I was looking for a case that was like a Jack the Ripper copycat. I wanted to find someone else in London that had revered Jack the Ripper. And so I found this guy, but he doesn't live in London. But he was inspired by Jack the Ripper. So I was like,
Got
fuck
it.
it. I'm just
Totally
keeping it.
counts.
Yeah, I'm
You've
just
had
keeping it.
a lot more tenuous connections. before.
I honestly really have. This is not even quite as loose as I've gotten before. So he's an hour north of London. It's fine. So
Commuter.
anyway, Michael made his way to the red light district with the intention of abducting a sex worker. On his prowling mission, he encountered 18-year-old Julie Dart and lured her into his car, threatening her with a knife that he was carrying if she struggled or screamed.
Poor baby.
I know. He took her to his lair in Newark, removed her clothes, tied her to a chair, and left her for the night.
Can you imagine anything more terrifying?
Than being tied to a chair in a lair in Newark.
No.
The only thing worse would be Newark, New Jersey.
Right.
In
Right.
Newark?
Newark. The following day, he forced her to write a letter to her fiance asking for 140,000 pounds to be paid for her release.
She's like, dude, I'm selling sex on the street. Do you think I have access to 140,000 pounds?
Fucking pretty much.
Like, I'm engaging in survival sex work.
Mm-hmm.
Bruh.
In the 90s. Like, not gonna happen.
Yeah.
So he left with the letter, dropped it in a post box, and went home. The lair in question was an old wood shop, like along a river, containing a coffin-like box that he constructed himself that was chained to the floor.
No.
It had a wooden frame and sheet metal walls, so basically just a metal box.
Ew.
No.
Yep. He rigged the wood shop with an alarm that would call his telephone if Julie escaped. He locked her up inside, went home to get some rest, and sure enough, his phone rang a few hours later. Julie had gotten free of her coffin.
Do you know how far away the lair was? Or was it just
Not
in his
far.
backyard?
It wasn't in his backyard, but it was like a quick drive.
Okay.
Shit.
So panicking, Michael sped back to the wood shop where Julie had indeed escaped her cell, but had not been able to get out of the larger locked wood shop that the cell was inside of. Michael, in a fit of rage over his failure and her will to escape, killed Julie by beating her to death with a hammer.
This poor fucking girl.
18 years old.
Julie,
Oh my God.
And a practice run for a depraved fucking maniac.
Ick.
The following day, he packed her blanket-wrapped body into the trunk of his car and dumped her in a field down a secluded country lane, but like in an area that he knew she would be discovered. So I think she had been in his custody for about 3 days total before he killed her. Knowing that she was dead, but the ransom letter had already been sent, he tried to soldier on with his plan. Julie's fiance involved the police upon receiving the letter, which requested communication or response to the letter, like to the ransom, be printed in the personal ads in the local newspaper. He believed that by leaving Julie's body where it could easily be found, he was setting himself up for success in his next kidnapping attempt by proving that he was serious about the ransom.
Ew.
He's sick.
God.
He taunted police after her body was found with letters saying things like, quote, prostitutes are easy to pick up and I won't spend any more time in prison for killing 2 instead of 1.
Oh
He's
my God.
Probably right.
What's this
which is
douchebag's
gross.
name again?
His name is
Michael
Michael
Sams?
Sams. There's pictures of him on the
Never
drive.
even heard of him.
Me either. So I was like, what the fuck? When this wasn't going where he wanted it to, like, she's dead. The police know that she's dead. He's not going to get this ransom. So he's kind of floundering at this point for some money. So then he threatened to commandeer and crash a commuter train and also like poison food at supermarket chains.
Is this him, this dorky older man
Mm-hmm.
with the collar?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
He did none of those things that he threatened.
Oh my God. That's him?
Yeah, he's so unassuming.
Does not look like this kind of guy.
Again, looks like my dad.
Super looks like your dad.
He kind of looks like a Mr. Potato Head.
Yeah,
He looks like an
AKA
Italian
my
version
dad.
of your dad.
kinda. Yeah, a dark-haired version of my dad, basically,
The
with more hair.
glasses and
Mm-hmm.
but don't all of his features look fake? Like they've just been slapped
Totally.
onto a head that's the wrong size
And like a
for them?
little off.
Thin lips.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Oh, and this is his lair?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
We'll get to the lair. So now he's frustrated and he's unpaid. So he goes back on the hunt for another ransom victim. This time someone he deemed more valuable than a sex worker. On January 22nd, 1992, Michael assumed a false name and arranged to meet with a real estate agent named Stephanie Slater to view a property. After he met her there and she brought him inside, he attacked her, tied her up, and took her to his lair.
Oh my God.
This had been Stephanie's first appointment of the day, and when she didn't return to the office for like lunch, as she usually did, her coworkers were immediately concerned. But it wasn't long before the office phone rang and Michael's voice on the line said, quote, Stephanie's been kidnapped. A ransom demand will be in the post tomorrow. If you contact police, she will die. So Michael placed her. Some reports said he put her in like the metal box, but if you look at the picture on the drive, there's one that basically looks like an overturned trash can. I might not have included that.
Under the green and orange blanket?
No, I don't think that picture's on here.
Okay, it might not have made it. But he had crafted like another coffin-sized cell out of basically like a wheeling trash bin. And then he would, like a plastic one, and he would lock her in it by like locking the lid.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So whether he also like, I don't know, improved it or like strengthened it with metal, I'm not 100% sure, but it's like, it's been upgraded so that it was escape proof after what happened with Julie.
It was fortified.
Yep. So
Ugh.
Stephanie's colleagues did indeed call the police, who agreed that this appeared to be the same man who had killed Julie Dart that they hadn't caught yet, and that this ransom needed to be taken seriously. This time, the ransom amount was £175,000, and a deadline to receive it was set for January 29th. So she was kidnapped on the 22nd. They had 7 days.
A week. Yeah.
Yep. To prove he was serious, he sent a package. This is so fucked up. He sent a package to the police with a tape recording of Julie, his previous victim, begging the police to cooperate from when she was captured.
Ew.
So he's basically sending the message that folks didn't cooperate last time and now Julie's dead. So, like, you better cooperate this time.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that so fucked up?
Everything
Yeah.
about this is so fucked up.
It's so gross. So the day before the ransom was due, Michael called Stephanie's office once again and demanded to speak with her boss, a man named Kevin Watt. He asked, "Have you got the money ready?" And Kevin replied that he had. Michael responded, "You will get a call at 3:00 tomorrow," and hung up the phone. Police were recording this call without Michael's knowledge and intended to release the audio recording to the public in the hopes that someone could identify Michael's voice.
Okay.
In the meantime, Kevin put together the money and awaited the call from Michael with instructions on where to deliver the ransom, which was a creepy fucking bridge over an abandoned railway near Barnsley. That photo's also on the drive.
Don't
it's so
like
creepy.
anything about that.
It's so fucking creepy. Like the one wider
You
pulled
could
out
just be
shot with like
watched from any angle
Yeah.
as you're dropping off the
where you can
cash.
see like the wagon wheel trail covered in mud, like going toward this abandoned bridge.
Just like overgrowth.
Yeah, it's really fucking creepy. So Kevin followed the instructions that he was given, putting the money on a metal tray that was affixed to a pulley system. Michael was hiding under the bridge below like a fucking troll.
Ew.
And once the money was in the tray, he pulled it down and took it before fleeing the scene on a motorcycle. Like, he's such a fucking drama king. I can't.
God.
Despite police trailing Kevin and a tracker that was in the bag that had the money in it, Michael had removed the money from the bag, ditching the tracker, and was able to evade the police and escape with the money.
No, this fucking moron is. Ugh.
Mm-hmm.
Ew.
Fortunately, he was true to his word. So once he got back to his lair with the money, he released Stephanie from her captivity. He like drove her to a nearby road and then just tossed her out. Yep.
Yeah.
So she had survived 8 days in that like coffin trash bin with limited food and water rations and was able to return home.
How do you ever go back to life?
I mean,
in
we'll get
society?
to it. Poor thing. But
Oh, God.
the tapes of his calls to Stephanie's office were released on a show called Crime Watch that aired on the BBC. Fortunately, a woman named Susan Oak, who was a former wife of Michael Sams,
I was going to say, he's got a lot of wives to recognize his voice.
a lot of ex-wives, regularly recorded this program on VHS. So I think she was working as like a nurse or something, and so she wasn't home when this aired, but she was like a true crime buff, so she
How
went
fucking
to record
cool is that?
So then she could re-listen to it, too.
pretty much. So she watched the show and immediately recognized Michael's voice and called the police to turn him in. Police arrived to arrest him the next day, and their investigation of his lair corroborated all of the details that Stephanie had provided them. quote, Sams was an arrogant man who hoisted himself on the petard, I don't know, the Brits, of his own self-confidence, and his luck ran out, said DS Bob Taylor in July of 93. Stephanie was forever traumatized by this event. Michael was cruel, only letting her out of her coffin twice a day to use the restroom and eat. She remained bound and gagged when she wasn't eating, and like blindfolded all the time.
Oh my God.
Or at least part of the time.
In a garbage can.
Basically in a garbage can, like a corrugated metals fortified garbage can.
Ick.
Oh my God.
Yep. And he threatened to electrocute her if she moved. He had affixed like electrodes and wiring to her chest for the duration of her captivity.
And if you're in a metal garbage can, there's no reason at all to believe you wouldn't be electrocuted.
If I remember the photo, the can itself was plastic, but
this dude's already proven that he's
completely
off his
nuts.
Fucking rocker. So like whatever he says, he's capable of.
Yep.
And he has his own little private lair. He can do whatever the fuck creepy things he wants to.
And he did, including raping her multiple times over the course of that 8 days.
Ugh. Gross.
So this is a quote from Wikipedia. Quote, following her release, Stephanie Slater, felt unable to return to work as a real estate agent and moved to the Isle of Wight in 1993. She subsequently worked with police forces to advise them on how to deal with kidnapped survivors and with the survivors themselves to help them to recover from their ordeals. But she died.
Amazing, gracious queen.
I know. I know. But unfortunately, she died on August 31st, 2017 at only 50 years old from cancer. So Michael was...
Poor gal.
I know. It's so sad. It's like you don't even get that long on this earth and you spent a week of it
utterly
in literal
petrified.
hell.
Yeah.
And then you have to live out the rest of your days like trying to heal as best you fucking can from that trauma, and then cancer just takes you when you're 50. Like,
all because this guy is a complete depraved psychopath. And
fucking
you were
psychopath.
just there.
You were just available. Like you just had, I mean, it was the 90s. So like there was the internet, but mostly the newspaper. Maybe she just so happened to be in an advertisement for real estate. It's just so fucking random.
Yeah, he just finds the number of a realtor. I mean, realtors are very vulnerable. Anyone who's dealing with like members of the public and strangers that they don't know one-on-one, it's vulnerable.
And a lot of people who work in real estate are women.
Yeah.
So Michael knew exactly what he was fishing for. Someone who likely had or was connected to money and was vulnerable. And there would be no questions asked in meeting them at a discreet location. Yeah.
Like basically of his choosing too.
Yeah, pretty much. Just from whatever listings, like,
yeah,
it would be so fucking easy. So Michael was tried and convicted for this kidnapping, as well as the kidnapping and murder of Julie Dart, and he was sentenced to life in prison. While behind bars, he was a fucking menace, even attacking a female guard with a metal spike, for which he got an additional 8 years added to his life term.
Jesus Christ.
He did get a 4,000-pound settlement from the government because his prosthetic leg was lost during a prison transfer.
Okay, I'm laughing because this guy's
he deserved
prick.
it. Yeah.
Oh my God.
But the public was pissed that he was given any money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then emboldened by this quote unquote win of his, he filed a civil suit against the prison because, quote, his bed was too hard.
Oh my God.
Fuck yourself.
Yeah, this fucking guy. Shockingly, that civil case did not go anywhere.
They should award him the 4,000-pound settlement, but he can only access the money when he's out of prison and he's serving a life sentence plus 8 years.
Yeah.
Sucks.
It's like, what are you going to do with that money? Buy a bunch of ramen?
I'm going to Disney World.
Well, yeah, but I mean, he could buy little comforts for himself, and he doesn't fucking deserve them.
I know.
No, he doesn't, but we'll get to how he feels about being in prison.
I don't, can you access your own bank account when you're in prison like that?
I think you have to have somebody else that transfers money to your commissary.
Yeah, so it's not like he got handed 4,000 pounds necessarily.
No.
What? Who knows?
But
I'm not sure.
It also might be different in the UK. Who knows?
Exactly.
It's the principle also.
It's the principle of it. Exactly. So he remains in prison with no consideration for parole in sight, which is actually very uncommon in the UK. Even with like murder charges, usually there's a required minimum and then you go before the parole board.
Chance of parole, yeah.
Yep. So according to Wikipedia, quote, he is among the oldest and longest serving life sentence prisoners in England and Wales. This seems fine by him, though, as he penned a letter that ran, there's like a newspaper for prisoners, I guess, over there. And he penned a letter that ran in this paper about how much better life was behind bars than out in the streets.
Well, great. The streets agree.
Yep.
That they're better without you. So.
1,000%. And he's not necessarily talking about just like general freedom, but he was writing it as like a commentary on basically the social security system for elderly and like older UK residents. So, quote, in 2007, he wrote a letter to Inside Time, the newspaper for prisoners.
Inside
Time.
Serving time.
Yeah. In which he claimed OAPs in prison are far better off than those in the community. He bragged about his living conditions in HMP Whitemoor, Cambridgeshire, where better than what he could expect as a free man.
What's OAP?
It's probably prisoners. People in prison are far better off, like convicted criminals. I don't know what it stands for. It's some UK thing.
Okay.
At the time, he was responding to a campaign for elderly convicts to receive the state pension, so like get Medicare and Social Security. How many prisoners who are totally dependent on the basic state pension and live in rented accommodation are able to spend around £20 per week on luxuries, he wrote. Most struggle to keep warm in winter, afraid to put the heating on, barely eating, let alone getting 3 square ready-made meals per day. Free access to the gym to keep those joints supple, and no bills except for £1 per week TV rental.
So an OAP is like a pensioner, like an old person up for pension. I Googled it.
Okay, cool.
Old ass person.
Old age pensioner.
Got it.
Okay.
So have you ever seen an OAP inmate in tatty clothes or scruffy trainers? Not a hope. Materially, we OAPs in prison are far better off than those in the community. They're saying that the prison system is providing them with more services and luxuries in prison than the state is providing
Social Security
free OAPs. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know what? Fine.
That may be true.
Obviously, Social Security benefits should be more generous. Sure, fine, whatever. Still,
but like, fuck this guy. He doesn't get to soapbox for like the rights of fucking elderly pensioners.
Yeah, that's fucking
You're not
dumb.
an advocate.
No, and also, congrats. You were published in the Inside Times.
Like,
I'm glad
monster.
you're reaching such a wide audience that can really make moves, I'm sure.
What a dildo.
Isn't he such a fucking pube? I just hate him so much.
I do
He's
too.
a horrible man who ruined 2 totally innocent people's lives for greed and his own fantasies and lack of impulse control and psychopathy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Fuck him.
Shit.
He just wanted to be the next, like, Jack the Ripper.
Piece of shit.
Completely nuts. So anyway, that's my case.
Well done.
Well, I sure hope you liked that clip. If you did like that clip, make sure you are subscribing to our YouTube channel, leaving us a nice review, and joining us on Patreon for even more video content, audio content, salacious content all around. Come join us. Treat yourself.